You might be familiar with the very beginning of the book of Acts. Jesus has already resurrected, and he speaks to some of his disciples, and he tells them to go into Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth with the gospel. But before that, he tells them to go to Jerusalem and await the Holy Spirit, and then he ascends into heaven. And we learn in the first 2 chapters, there's about 120 disciples. Imagine what it was like being in that room with 120 people, waiting expectantly for God to show up, to empower them for the mission, to give them further marching orders. Not exactly sure what was going to happen, but confident that God was on the move. I'm sure there was anxiety, I'm sure there was fear, I'm sure there was hope, I'm sure there was uncertainty. Ten months ago, a small group of us started to pray. We began by asking God, what would it look like for a new church, a new gospel work to be planted in the downtown core of the city of Seattle? What would it look like? What would it value? Why would it exist? How would it help connect the people of the city to Jesus? So we started praying. We started serving the city. We started building relationships. We started sharing the gospel. And over time, people began to hear what we're doing. Some people began to move downtown, and we've probably moved somebody downtown every 3 or 4 weeks over the last 10 months. People started to get interested and started to become engaged in what we're doing. And we started to meet in coffee shops and in apartment buildings and in conference rooms and throughout the city, in any place that we could, to pray and to serve and to network and to share the gospel and to dream big, to asking God what he wanted this church to look like. Over time, we started to see amazing answers to prayer, supernatural provision, and great relationships being forged with people in the city. God was absolutely going before us in building and creating and laying the foundations for this church. So over the last 2 months, we began to meet weekly on Sundays. We began to multiply our communities. We began to seek out a more permanent location to gather as a people. We began to really work to create missional and ministry health in the church. And now we believe that we are ready to launch as a church in the city center of Seattle. There's lots of anticipation, there's questions, there's excitement, there's nervousness, there's anxiety, and we might ask, what does the future hold? And we can't be sure, but what we do know is that God is forming a group of people that are gospel-centered, Jesus-loving, and city-focused. And we do know that he is good, and he is faithful, and he is sending us into this city and the cities of the world armed with the message and mercy of Jesus Christ. So we invite you to join us as we follow Jesus' lead in building a great city through the gospel for the glory of God.